Hi there. Welcome to you. Can you hear me, viewers? Thank you, Darni, for responding with yes. I asked this question because sometimes mics does not function properly, so I have to get confirmation from the viewers about audio that they are receiving audio. Thank you for joining the live chat, viewers. Two new stories for you in this live chat. Firstly, a new law is in the making which will be presented at the House of Representatives within 2 months. I want to share main points of this law with you and leave it to you to decide who is going to be targeted. Why is government introducing this new law? Is government sincere in implementing the new law? Secondly, Somalia's foreign policy, it seems that another shift is being seen in Somalia's foreign policy. Somalia rejected the possibility of talks with Ethiopia. It changed its position. It became part of talks with Ethiopia, mediated by Turkey. Now, another change in Somalia's foreign policy. We'll talk about that. Let me welcome the participants. Darni is the first one who joined today. He says, I am first. Yes, you're first, Darni. How are you? Samuel Tiare joined too, says, yes, he can hear me. Thank you, Samuel, for responding with yes. Bashe here. How are you, Bashe? Peace and love. A member. Special welcome to you. Peace and love. How are you? By the way, these days I am hearing about plans by some Ethiopian journalists to introduce a new platform, news platform. I think some of you might have heard about it. They're saying that they want to establish a news platform where all uh, groups, all parties, with opposing positions and narratives will be given equal time, equal coverage, with impartial, neutral, unbiased coverage of the Ethiopian affairs and East Africa, Horn of Africa affairs. Uh, People shared with me some messages by an Ethiopian journalist that he is the one who is leading this initiative. Some raised question. They said that maybe he would launch a fundraising campaign because whenever new news outlets are launched, journalists start raising funds, and then no one knows where funds go. Uh, I would back such an effort if any Ethiopian journalist wants to establish a neutral platform for coverage of Ethiopian affairs, I think it should be welcomed. I always say there is shortage of impartial, neutral journalists in Ethiopia. There are some good journalists, definitely, people who worked in difficult circumstances in Ethiopia. They risked their lives. Some had to flee. But problem is that most of them have been, I wouldn't say biased, but they have been leaning towards supporting one party. So there is definitely room, need for such a platform. I would back that. But in the name of establishing a neutral news platform, funds should not be raised. I mean, establishing a YouTube channel is not a costly affair. I am one man. I am covering Ethiopia, Eritrea, other uh, zones too, and I get support from people in terms of provision of information. It's not a very costly affair. So, but we should back if anyone wants to establish a neutral media. Someone was commenting that it would have an impact on your viewership. No problem. No problem. I think healthy competition is good for people. If there is a healthy competitor who wants to cover Ethiopian, Eritrean affairs in a neutral manner, I would welcome that. Maybe we'll learn from each other. Gilana Ajima joined. Abbas Kalib is saying salam from Switzerland. Abbas, what is happening in Switzerland to Eritreans? Their asylum case is rejected. More than 270 people. Has the government decided to deport them to a third country? Goko Girlfriends is the name of someone. Ahmad Jama joined. Welcome, Ahmad. Nez Burr says, shockingly, 120 Amhara students have been abducted and taken to Oromia, tied to trees and tortured. But I don't know if they're Amhara or not, but they have been kidnapped. Yes, I did a video on that too. They were kidnapped in Oromia region when they are basically Debak University students. So yes, they are in custody. Some have been released too. Ogdugi says Hassan Sheikh is displaying cognitive dissonance. He has bags under his eyes. He is not sleeping these days. I don't know about his health condition. Darni says there is no anything called neutral journalists, not even in big democracies. Well, big democracies have their agendas sometimes. So that is why. And since these news outlets have an impact on formation of public opinion, that is why the news outlets definitely have agendas, they are funded. Uh, Especially if the news organizations are run as businesses, and then they are run with the aim of making money. But it's not that entire international media is biased. You cannot just generalize things. Johannes says, hi, Sajid, how are you? I'm fine, Johannes. Johannes in touch with me for several years now. Darni says, you can be neutral because you are not from Ethiopia, but I know you are Fano. Come on. I was TPLF during Tigray war. Now I am Fano. MOULOS says, hello Sajid, there is a secret swap deal between Oromo and Somalis. Oromos are ready to give away Somali region of Ethiopia back to Somalia for a seaport. I don't know about that. Gilana says, neutrality in Ethiopia is unthinkable. We lost hope. Let's hope that people go for neutrality. Now, two new stories, short ones. Firstly, and a new law is in the making, which the government intends to introduce in coming weeks. I want to share main points of this law, and then you can decide why this law is being introduced. International Crimes Proclamation is the name of this new law, which is being worked on. And under this law, special courts will be set up, special judges will be appointed, speedy trials will be conducted, and punishment, justice, reconciliation, all will be part of this law. The law is being introduced to hold people accountable for their role in committing crimes in recent Ethiopian conflicts. It means that the law will apply not to just Tigray war, but conflict in Amhara, Oromia, other parts of Ethiopia, to wherever there have been and there are conflicts ongoing and people are involved in committing offenses, crimes, they'll be held accountable under this law. Important part of this law is that extradition will also be ensured. Those who commit crimes and they fled Ethiopia, they'll be brought back. Extradition arrangements with other countries will be made. Other countries will be engaged and those people will be brought back. Within 2 months, the law will be tabled at the. By the way, these days, several new draft laws are being tabled and approved by the House of Representatives. So, question is, why is there need for this new law? Because the transitional justice mechanism, which was set to hold people accountable for crimes, human rights abuses, which happened during the conflicts, is still not operational. I don't know how many people have been held accountable under the transitional justice policy. Has the government held people accountable for conflicts, people based in Ethiopia? Now, government wants to ensure extradition of those people who are based abroad, while those who committed atrocities, they are in Ethiopia, they were never held accountable. So what is the purpose behind the introduction of this new law? LM Gizao joined too. Welcome, LM. Dr. Admaso YouTube here. I'm fine, doctor. How are you? Darni says the PM said Endf court-martialed thousands. Well, all armies court-martial their soldiers. It happens. Court-martial happens for different reasons. Sometimes violations of discipline. Court-martial proceedings are not always linked to the crimes committed by soldiers. I mean, even in those countries where there are no wars, court-martial happens. Court-martial against those who are involved in disciplinary violations. If ENDF conducted court-martials of thousands, who are those thousands? What were their crimes? This is the question. Because all armies have their internal accountability system too, under which people are punished. It's part of every force in the world. Question is, which ENDF officials have been court-martialed for human rights abuses committed during Tigray war in the ongoing conflict in Amhara, Oromia? Orom Ticha says, in the Horn of Africa, only Somalis were politicians and no one left behind. Now Ethiopian Eritreans are no one left behind. Darni says he specifically said for crimes committed during the war. Well, if it is the case, then at least government should share details. I mean, just saying that thousands have been court-martialed. I think those people who are court-martialed, they are just dismissed. They cannot continue their services. So has ENDF fired and imprisoned thousands of people in the past few months? I am not aware of that, by the way. The military, which is committing atrocities in broad daylight in Amhara, in Oromia, killing people, had its officers been court-martialed, it would not have been operating in this way. I doubt his claims. So if you or others have any evidence, I think it should be shared. Which officers, which officials court-martialed? What were their crimes? Hassan Mohammed says hello. Chief of Hamasyan says hello. How's Pakistan? I don't cover Pakistan, Chief of Hamasyan. People want to divert me. They don't want me to cover Eritrea, especially, and Ethiopia. Some they say this is happening in Pakistan. This is being done by Pakistan against this country. You are covering Ethiopia. Why don't you cover Pakistan? Well, back to the topic. Why is this new law being introduced? Which its name, International Crimes Proclamation. It's clear, I think, that once again, uh, government critics in diaspora are going to be targets. If you remember, last year, Ethiopian government released a list of those who were allegedly involved in overthrowing the government. And some of those people were based abroad. People like Ethio 360 journalists and some other activists based abroad. Uh, Government was not in a position to demand the extradition of those people. It perhaps did not have the required legal material. I think that through this new law, government critics are going to be targeted. Uh, any evidence can be made up by the government. I mean, this is the government which claimed that from the house of that Oromo politician Tadendia, OLF flag was recovered, a weapon was recovered, OLF members were recovered. A day before all this recovery, Tadendia criticized Ethiopian PM Abiy. So does it make sense that a man is criticizing Ethiopian PM Abiy while there is OLA flag, OLA fighter, and guns at his home? He knows he's going to be arrested. But government made up this story to just justify the arrest of Tadendia. Similar evidence can anytime be created by the government to implicate people based abroad for their alleged role in conflicts in Ethiopia. This is what seems to be the likely objective behind the introduction of this new law. But let's wait. We'll have to wait. Already, we're seeing that new decisions are being made. Government authorities are being given more and more powers, space for critics, space for journalists, space for opposition parties is narrowing. Now we know that the immigration chief has been granted the powers to place people's names on exit control list. This power was held by Ethiopian courts, but a new amendment a few days ago gave powers to immigration chief now. The immigration authorities can anytime place people's names on exit control list, and those who have fled abroad. Now maybe we could see proceedings for their extradition. Secondly, viewers, second news story, then we'll end the live chat. Another change in Somalia's position. Elam is asking questions saying, does any government internationally take them at their word? Yeah, this is the question that the will other countries accept the evidence which will be submitted by Ethiopian government. Let's see. At least this law can be used to put pressure upon those individuals, to silence them, to stop them from criticizing. If extradition is not possible, at least pressure can be exerted on government critics abroad. Uh, Now Somalia, where's Somalia has changed its position on two issues in the past 1 month, showing that its foreign policy uh, is not sound. It takes decisions in a hurry, then it walks back. It rejected the idea of talks with Ethiopia in January when Ethiopia, Somaliland signed MOU. Later, we saw that Somalia changed. And yesterday, Hassan Sheikh said that Somalia was not opposed to mediation. He should have said that in January when he recalled Ambassador to Addis Ababa, expelled Ethiopian ambassador, refused to talk to PM Abiy. PM Abiy had to involve William Ruto, Ismail Omar, and Yoweri Museveni. Still, Hassan Sheikh did not talk to PM Abiy, but now he's ready to for mediation. Second change in the foreign policy is that when Somaliland signed MOU with Ethiopia, Somalia cut off all engagements with Somaliland. A day before Somaliland Ethiopia MOU, Somalia held talks in Djibouti. Hassan Sheikh and Musawi Abdi met in Djibouti in the presence of Ismail Omar. So the talks ended well. The two formed some committees, but a day after that, big decision by Somaliland and Somaliland talks were derailed. And then we heard from some sources, according to the sources, Ahmed Fiki, the new foreign minister of Somalia, said that as a policy, it has been adopted that from now on, Somalia won't talk to Somaliland. Somalia will talk to unionist elements in Somaliland, like Odal state movement, like SSC Khatomo, etc. But as a policy, it won't talk to Somaliland because Somaliland, by signing an MOU with Ethiopia, derailed the peace process. But again, a change. Hassan Sheikh, at his parliament appearance, in his parliament speech yesterday, agreed to talk to Somaliland. So now Somalia is willing to talk to both Ethiopia and Somaliland separately. Talks with Somaliland about Somaliland issues, talks with Ethiopia about MOU with Somaliland. Two changes in Somalia's foreign policy in the last few days. By the way, Somaliland is silent so far. It is not demanding any clarity from Ethiopia. Ethiopia in talks with Somalia, Somaliland, Ethiopia MOU, signing a final agreement delayed. Somaliland has been issuing statements in recent months and weeks. But after Ethiopia Somalia talks held in Ankara, Turkey, Somaliland went quiet. I think we could see some statements from Somaliland in coming days. It would demand clarity publicly or behind the scenes from Ethiopia about real Ethiopian plans. Is Ethiopia waiting for the better opportunity, or is it committed to signing the MOU, the final agreement with Somaliland? Oromticha says MOU or without military base, Ethiopia will recognize Somaliland and followed by UK. Just one comment. If Ethiopia gets a better offer, yeah, LM, it will demand clarity. That's what I have heard. If Ethiopia, one comment about MG, if Ethiopia gains access to sea through Somalia, through talks, it would be peaceful access. But can Ethiopia trust Somalia? This is the question. Keeping in view close relations between Hassan Sheikh and Isaias Afwerki, both are new partners now. And will Somalia offer the same access which Somaliland is offering to Ethiopia? And if Ethiopia gains access to sea through Somalia, will it be in a position to ensure that its access continues uninterrupted? Perhaps Somali land has more to offer to Ethiopia. Ethiopia can exercise more influence once it gains access to sea through Somaliland. Perhaps it would be difficult for Somaliland to undo it, to push Ethiopia out of its territory. Somalia, on the other hand, is a volatile country. No one knows about future of Al-Shabaab. No one knows about the role of foreigners, foreign entities, foreign players in Somalia. Ethiopia will have to gauge, it will have to compare rather the offers being made by Somalia and Somaliland. Perhaps I'll do a video, a separate video on a comparative video on the offers of sea access by Somalia and Somaliland. How would Ethiopia see these two offers? With 30 minutes have passed, I think we should end the live chat. I covered two topics. We talked about a new law being drafted, international crimes regulation to hold people accountable involved in crimes committed during the conflicts in Ethiopia. Diaspora community could also be targeted, especially because extradition is part of this law. To secondly, we talked about change in Somalia's foreign policy. It is now willing to talk to Somaliland, willing to talk to Ethiopia. It has been opposing any talks, any contact with Ethiopia and Somaliland in recent months. Thanks for watching the live chat. It was good to be with you. Stay blessed. I'll be back tomorrow. Bye bye.